that is
Oh,
the
sweet.
ever-loving hole of all life, sucking you right down into Facebook.
Oh yeah, yeah. You want to avoid something when you get out of prison? Don't download Facebook because that thing will suck your soul out.
Uh,
All right, we are on YouTube, so we're live,
all right.
and I think we are on Facebook. I don't know, maybe.
Let me see here. I'm on there. I'm not seeing it yet on Facebook, but I might be missing something.
It says
Handcuffed to
starting
Freedom
soon.
is the host.
All right, and it says starting soon, so maybe I got to do something.
Did you click it on in the back in
Oh
the
yeah,
in Facebook?
we're on. We're live.
Okay.
Yeah, sweet.
All
All
right.
right, so let us begin. After I get my little teleprompter right here, sweet. All right.
Nice. Teleprompters are awesome.
Welcome to the Handcuffed to Freedom podcast. This is a podcast for people who have been involved in the system. If you've been incarcerated, you've had a family member who's been incarcerated, and now you're looking to build a beautiful life. This is for anyone who believes in second chances. This is for people who are fighting for justice. And today I have with me Johnny Fab, John Fabricius. My friend, we are going to be talking about felony disenfranchisement, and that is a lot of syllables for one word. So I'm going to do my best saying that. But John, let me just tell you a little bit about John here. So John works as a directly impacted advocate for criminal justice reform in Arizona and abroad. During the 15 years he served in the Arizona Department of Corrections, John earned a degree in paralegal studies and assisted numerous fellow incarcerated individuals in accessing courts through civil rights and post-conviction relief claims. Upon his release in August 2018, John began his advocacy work with the American Friends Service Committee of Arizona. John serves as a cohort leader for the organization's Reframing Justice Project, an initiative that challenges the narrative surrounding mass incarceration, reentry, and policy and legislative change in Arizona. During the 2020 election season, John volunteered for the Julie Gunnigal for Maricopa County Attorney's campaign and simultaneously ran an independent support campaign in support of Julie Gunnigal. John is the founding member and executive director of Arizonans for Transparency and Accountability in Corrections, a nonpartisan organization working to create effective and responsive oversight in the Arizona Department of Corrections, Rehabilitation, and Reentry. That name, it just still doesn't ever feel right when they try to say that's their name. But anyway, through the formation and implementation of Corrections Ombudsman, did I say that right? Ombudsman?
Ombudsman. Yeah.
Ombudsman. Okay,
There
I
you
didn't
go.
have that
There you
right.
go.
And a citizen-led oversight committee. John is also the founder of Justice Watch Arizona, formerly Info World Arizona, a news and information site dedicated to making the public aware of criminal justice in Arizona. John, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes.
Just to start off, I just would love to hear your story, man. How where'd you come from, and how'd you get to where you shot?
Sure. Let me give you a quick one. I'm a third generation native Phoenix, which is pretty rare. Um, my family started here back before it was even a state, and immigrated to the state from Wales and England. And so I grew up here, went to schools here, and grew up in this amazing state. I love Arizona with all my heart. I was a normal citizen for a number of years. I was a professional musician, played guitar, and worked around in music stores and pawn shops and did that kind of thing. And then in my 30s, I went through some things and had some struggles and some challenges, and I ended up becoming incarcerated. And I did a 2.5 year sentence. Um, Nothing about that incarceration period helped me. Nothing benefited me at all in that incarceration period. It was just an aggravation, really, quite frankly. And for my part on responsibility, I wasn't really ready to get right. And so I didn't avail myself of the opportunities to improve my life. Not that those were, you know, they were pretty few and far between in the Department of Corrections then, and that's back in 2003. I got out, went right back to prison. This time I went down with a 16 and a half year sentence, and which, when they pronounced that for a nonviolent offense, not the, you know, the violent people with violent crime should have draconian sentences either, but for, you know, when you think about sentencing and you think about those structures, you know, it was a significant and draconian sentence. The judge in my case, based on the facts of my case, ensured that I was sentenced to the maximum that I could possibly be sentenced to under the plea bargain that I had, which included a 14-year prison sentence and another 2.5-year prison sentence for my probation violation, and then parole, and then subsequent to parole, probation. So it was all run consecutive and about as draconian as you can get for the crime that I committed. But I did commit the crime. I take responsibility and accountability for that. And so in that, when you make a decision, we've all made that decision when we go to the Department of Corrections. You are given a pretty clear choice about what you're going to do with your life. And some people reach that choice sooner or later than others. But at a certain point, especially when you come in with a significant amount of time, you're going to make a decision about, this is going to be your home. This is where you're going to live for the next decade or two. And so you have to make some very difficult choices about how you're going to live your life and how you're going to get along in that system. And I decided that I wasn't going to play with the fellas and I wasn't going to run around and be a knucklehead anymore. And so I buckled down and I started educating myself. And like you said in the introduction, which was really gracious, thank you, Nate. I did get a paralegal degree, and then that spurred on more education. And I pretty much spent the entire time I was in the Department of Corrections taking classes and then turning that around and giving back to those that I was incarcerated with. So I taught music theory class all over the state in the facilities that I was in, out of state as well, and did a lot of that stuff. So then I was released after when I got out in 2018, of August of 2018, and went right to work, and was living in a halfway house. I walked out literally with the socks on my feet. The socks on my feet were literally the only thing I owned, and the tennis shoes. Everything else was state issue, and I walked out with nothing, and went into a halfway house and just doubled down my efforts. I completed a college degree while living in a halfway house and while working full time and taking the bus an hour each direction to work and back. And I was just bound and determined that I was not going to I was going to complete the second degree that I got and not let anything stand in my way. And it was difficult. It was challenging. If I didn't have the friends that I have around me and the support system I had around me, I don't know that I would have made it. If I didn't have my amazing son with me, I don't think I would have made it. But in that, I began my degree, like I said, paralegal studies earlier, and then what I was majoring in my other degree was political science. So I'm very much engaged in the politics. I'm very much engaged in policy and how we are affected in our society based on the lawmakers that we elect. And so disenfranchisement is a major issue with me, and especially that I've been disenfranchised for so long and still have a ways to go before I will get back my ability to vote. So I went to work with our good friend, Joe Watson, invited me to come down and volunteer with the American Friends Service Committee, and my other friend, Travis Hyland, and I did that. And I just loved it. I loved the engagement. I loved the atmosphere. It just spoke to me. And when we were looking at the Lewis Locke situation and what was going on with Charles Ryan at that point, and what was going on with the Department of Corrections, and then with all of the experience that I had in the 15 years, I was in 9 complexes and 13 different units including out of state, in state, privates, and all that over that period of time. And I had a wealth of experience from in there. And so Travis and I sat down and wrote a proposal for an oversight committee for the Department of Corrections. And the American Friends Service Committee got that to some lawmakers, and the lawmakers got that to the governor. And that kind of took off on the oversight issue with me, which I have been um, really bent on for the last couple of years about trying to get that in place with the Department of Corrections, and will for the next several years, making sure that gets implemented. That manifested in working with Representative Diego Rodriguez and writing some legislation with his team that went up in the last legislative session. And then I worked, we started an organization this year. I'm working with some very good people who are also directly impacted. That my team at ATAC, and we formed ATAC, and that's Sue Braga and Charlene Schwickrath and Hannah Burke and Deb North. And these people are dedicated. These are wonderful people that are dedicated to making sure that we get a change in our society in Arizona with oversight of the Department of Corrections. And we've been working on oversight, and we've been working alongside FAM and the START Project and AFSC and the ACLU Smart Justice Project, trying to get legislation passed to create comprehensive oversight of the Department of Corrections. So doing all that, and then working full time for a technology company in town, and doing some other stuff too, and working, owning a business and doing a bunch of stuff, kind of similar to what you do, Nate, but with nowhere near the quality.
No, this is like, it amazes me how much you've accomplished. And you got out, I think, like a month or two before me. And it's just so amazing. It like inspires me to see all that you've done and what you continue to do. And that's one thing that I've noticed on this show. Everyone that I've had on here, the one thing that connects us is we've all been locked up.
Right.
And then the other thing is like how driven we all are, and how we can, you know, come together and support each other, and we're all about, creating positive change. And it's like, it's for me, I mean, this might get a little deep, but like when you're trying to, bring positive change to the world, it's one of those things that it brings positive change to yourself, and
Absolutely.
it's just, it's so powerful. And if anyone takes anything from this, is it's like, by focusing on those external things, and the things that we can do to help other people, it's like it makes our own life so much richer and so much more meaningful. And so, yeah, I love what you're doing, John.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, of course. And so we are talking about the Arizona disenfranchisement laws. Okay, so first of all, explain to me, like, what are disenfranchisement laws?
Yeah, so disenfranchisement laws, I mean, they go back a ways back. And what disenfranchisement means is basically your right to vote, but it goes beyond that. I think that most people understand when somebody gets incarcerated in this country that, once they're convicted of a felony offense, they lose their right to vote in most places. But there is gradations of how bad that is. But it's beyond just the disability to vote. You can't serve on a jury. You In Arizona, we have other laws tangential to disenfranchisement directly. You can't possess a firearm, and there's just a number of things that you can't do once you're convicted of a felony. But those are not consistent around the country, and certainly Arizona is probably the most onerous state. As it leads in disparity for incarcerated and formerly incarcerated people. The system that we have in Arizona is by far the worst in the country, and it's just a very difficult system. But it's basically the ability. What we're going to talk about today is the ability to vote, the ability to serve on a jury, the ability to get elected. Those type of things are what's wrapped in felony disenfranchisement.
All right. So yeah, I know I I got off of parole, and I'm sure maybe you recently got off of parole, or
I did. I got off parole in November, and then that's when I started my consecutive term of probation. So I'm currently on probation for the
oh
next
yeah,
2 years.
okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, so when I got off of parole, I applied to get my rights back, and I know that they were telling me that I have to wait like 2 years
Right,
before I can even get them back now. And
right,
so I had no no agency in any of the politics or like so everyone's doing all this crazy stuff about politics. I'm like, I don't even have a voice. I can't vote. So I really don't, I mean, I care because I know that like these are the policymakers and these are the people who are going to be deciding our fate. But the fact that I don't have any voice, it makes me just like, I'm like, all right, whatever. You know what I mean? And
right.
so I think that a lot of people who get out and don't have their voting rights aren't able to have a voice in these matters feel similar. And so, what's what's the answer? Like, I mean, where do we go from here?
Well, so I'm going to draw a little bit of a distinction to what you said because you're absolutely right. That's what people think and feel, and that's I would hear it all the time. We would hear it when we were in the Department of Corrections, like you said again. My the preliminary, I used to help people all the time. I mean, literally every day of my time in the Department of Corrections, there were people coming to my house or my bunk asking me for help, whether it was for grievances or for lawsuits or post conviction relief. So every day I was having conversations with multiple of my fellow men in the Department of Corrections about how you exercise your voice. And so when you just were talking right there, that's what you were saying, and that's ingrained in us. Like you don't have a voice, but the truth is we do have a voice, and we have a very strong voice, and that's the secret, is that our voice is should be heard. And just because we have gotten a felony conviction and we may not be able to go into a voting booth and pull a lever or hit a number, does not mean we don't have a voice and that we're not part of this democracy. And it's educating everybody about their voice and about their ability and the fact that there is an audience out there of people that want to hear your voice and want to hear your story and want to know what it's really like and want to hear what conviction is like and want to know what the sentencing was like and want to know what the impact of those the laws are and all that. So we have a very powerful voice if we can educate enough people to use it, and then it's not even just about speaking, it's about actions. Like you also said, I volunteered for the Julie Gunnigal for Maricopa County Attorney campaign, and that was the highlight. This is one of the highlights of my life, and basically I was going out and just putting in yard signs for her campaign, but I knew that I was a part of something great and something real, that was real, making a real change in our state for the better. And so there wasn't a moment out there in the middle of July when I was out in the middle of nowhere pounding in another, the 30th yard sign of the day. Every pound was like joyful to me because I loved it. And I loved being engaged in that activity. And so it's not just like I said, discussing, it's about your presence, your intelligence, your voice, your action, all mean something. And we just need to harness that because we need to be the change that we want to see. We need to go and educate our lawmakers and our policy makers and the general public that we aren't throwaway people, that we do have value and that we can contribute well to our society, including on laws and ideas and policy.
I love that. That was like, can we package and like that was beautiful. Let's
Thank
let's
you.
put that like as that was a great speech right there. That made me like inspired. I was like, yeah, yeah, we can.
That's
That
good.
was great,
Whoever
man.
reaches
And
out,
that's I think that's what it I mean it really is because I still deal with that, you know, because of my conviction and because of my past. Like there's always this feeling of like, am I even worthy? Am I even like, you know, I have this like guilt that like anytime I even feel that like, you know, I should have some agency or something, and like I shouldn't feel this way. Like I don't deserve this,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's something that like that is ingrained in our punishment system, because that's what it is. It's about punishment, and I understand that, and I understand, you know, um, that also punishment and accountability aren't necessarily the same thing.
That's exactly right.
And you know, and I think it's just, you know, one of those things that like that is the shift that we're trying to make in society is like, how do we treat people who are messing up, right? Like how, like, okay, like you're not doing you're not doing right now. Like you're screwing up. What are we going to do about it?
Right.
And that's the conversation that we're trying to change, because right now it's lock them up, you know, treat them bad, let them out, and wait for them to mess up,
Yeah.
because that's our system now. And
Absolutely
you
right.
know, and here in Arizona, you were mentioning that our our laws are worse than a lot of other states. Can you kind of explain a little bit how they're worse?
Sure. I mean, when you're talking broad picture, we have the most draconian sentence. We have sentencing in the country for crimes, or in the top. You know, when I say the worst, I'm saying we're in a class of maybe a few states that have these really draconian sentences. We're one of only two states, I think, now that make everybody do 85% of their time. And here's one thing about that too is we in 1994 we have 85% that came through, but they took out the parole board, and so there was recent testimony on a bill down at the Capitol by somebody that was in the Department of Corrections a long time ago, testifying about how great it would be if, you know, we wouldn't let people out at earlier rates of time, and was testifying about, you know, we need to be cautious and not let all these people out because they make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, notwithstanding that person was definitely one of those people. But um, at the end of the day, what we need to understand is that people go into the Department of Corrections, they do 85% of the time, and there's no impetus or requirement to better yourself. You can, as we used to say in the joint, you could ride the rack, right? You could ride the rack for your 85%, meaning you could sit on your bunk and watch television for 2.5 years and then come home and have nothing to show for the time that you were in there except the time that you were in there. And that's what happened to me on my first incarceration. And look what had happened. I was an immediate recidivist. But when we're talking about felony disenfranchisement laws, I can't say it now. You got me all.
It's a lot of syllables for one word, I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
I mean, I got some statistics here, right? Yeah, that I wanted to talk about. Like, there's two states, and this is what goes back. I mean, when we talk about this, we're talking about now everybody that's been in the Department of Corrections and or has a felony conviction. I mean, we've got 450,000 people in this state that have at least one felony conviction. I mean, that's an enormous number in and of itself. So when you're talking about it, all those people were disenfranchised at some point during their lives. And there's some numbers that I saw, and forgive me, I'm not quoting them exactly. You can find these numbers at the ACLU of Arizona, American Friends Service Committee of Arizona. They have these numbers, and you can find them for specific to Arizona. But in Arizona, there was like 220,000 plus or minus people that were currently disenfranchised in Arizona. And the problem is that it follows the biases that we see in the whole entire judicial system or the criminal justice system in Arizona, which is that it is disproportionately affecting people of color and otherwise marginalized communities significantly. Like I said, disproportionately, like very much affecting those communities. And so what we see is we just see more extensions, and I think that a lot of this is where it goes back to is we're talking about Jim Crow laws, and we're talking about laws that were put in place to continue to disenfranchise Black Americans, African Americans after the Civil War. And and that's what the penal system was done. The 13th Amendment has that provision in the 13th Amendment that allows slavery if you're incarcerated. And so what we see, and we used to see these swath of what they call Jim Crow laws that excluded people of color from being able to vote, and those have become tradition and have been ingrained in our laws in the United States. And so, but you do see a patchwork across the country. Maine and Vermont have no restrictions. Like, this isn't something that is, came down in the third tablet with Moses, right? Like, felony disenfranchisement relative to a conviction wasn't handed down by the Almighty. This is something that, has been created in our society, in Western culture, but moreover has been taken to the furthest extremes in the United States. So like I said, Maine and Vermont, they don't have any restrictions at all. There's 14 states that only restrict you while you're incarcerated, physically in a penal institution. There's some where there's 4 states that do it while you're incarcerated and or on parole subsequent to your incarceration. Again, there's another 16 states that do it with people that are incarcerated, on parole, and or on probation. And then Arizona belongs to this last group, which is people that are incarcerated, parolees, probationers, and all ex-felons for some duration of time. And like what you said, when we talk about that law in Arizona, as it stands right now, what you have to do, and this is very just a nutshell of what you have to do, is you have to complete your entire sentence, whatever that sentence is, whether you go to prison, you go to county jail and do a term in county jail, whatever your felony sentence is, a probation sentence, whatever it is. But in the most cases, like yourself and myself and most of the people we know, we do a prison sentence, then we come out and we do a term of community supervision, which is generally called parole, subsequent to that, which is 15% of the time that we just did. And then a lot of times what has been going on in the criminal justice system in Arizona was that courts started liking to waive community supervision because it was a shorter period of time, because it was only 15% of a prison sentence, and instead put a person on, if there was a second or third or more charges, put a person on probation after prison, which is usually a 3 to 5 year.
5 years, yeah.
Yeah. And so you have a prison sentence, and then in my case, I have a prison sentence for 13 and a half years, taking away the 85% on this current one. Then I had to complete 2.25 years of parole. Then I have to complete 3 years of probation. And after I get done with all of that, I still have to wait another 2 years and file an application to the judge and ask the judge to give me back my franchise.
Yeah.
And
basically, yeah.
Yeah, and you're at the mercy of the court at that point. And so, I mean, that is an onerous process, and there's other issues that are related to that too. So Arizona is far and away the most onerous state when it comes to disenfranchisement. And contemporaneously, we have the worst laws, criminal laws on the books. I mean, these things are correlative, right? So that's what the issue is ultimately.
And it's, and it just goes like you were just saying, like how this is so, it disproportionately affects people of color. And so, if they're not able to vote, they're not able to vote for the changes that they need. And just like anyone who's been to prison, who has a conviction history, if we're trying to make changes and we're trying to like change the law for the better, for the betterment of society, not even for the betterment of us, we want these laws in effect because they are going to make a better society, a more compassionate, a more tolerant, a better place to live for everyone. And we can't make these changes. Well, we can, but we can't vote on these changes because we have all this red tape in front of us that says, hey, you're not, you've done your time, but you're not a citizen, really.
Right. That's exactly right. And think about this, what this country is about, right? I mean, think about what you were taught and I was taught and everybody is taught in this country about school. I mean, why were we throwing tea off the boat in Boston, right? Uh, Taxation without representation, you know? And so that's what this country's founded on. I mean, this country was founded on the fact of, or at least the history books that are popular, because the deeper conversation about what actually happened in our founding, and how they were adversely affecting people of color, which is a serious blight on our country. But um, uh, at the core of it, we were arguing about the fact that we were being taxed, and not being represented, and we're not having our franchise at the beginning of our country. So when we talk about this right now, I mean, you're out here, you're a businessman, you're creating revenue, you are paying taxes, you're consuming, you're paying taxes, you're paying income taxes, you're paying all these things. I am doing the same, but yet I can't vote in this state, and I am just subjected to this onerous provisions of these disenfranchisement laws, as you are, as many people are. And so, you know, what's really going on there? You know what I mean? Like, if you think about that, even on a deeper level, an historic level in our American society, you start to really see how anathema this is to our founding, and what we are as Americans, or supposed to be as Americans.
Right. And the thing that really like inspires me about you and the work that you're doing is because despite all of these prohibitions and these limitations, like you're out there, you're doing it, you're making real change. Like Julie Gunnagle got elected. Like you're, y-
Well, she didn't. She almost got elected. She
oh,
just missed it by
oh,
35,000
okay.
votes.
Oh,
But it was a tremendous election, and you know, again, I will take every opportunity I can to lift up Julie Gunnagle. What an amazing person, but what an amazing campaign she ran. And like I said, 35,000 votes. She increased the vote. She'd ran for a legislative district in LD 15 in 2018 as well, and increased the vote turnout there. And she significantly increased it again in this Maricopa County attorney race. And shout out to Representative Diego Rodriguez before her, for making a dent in it. I don't want to get into what side's better or anything like that, because there's good and bad on both sides of the political aisle. But the one thing that we have had in Arizona is we've had single party control that goes back, in the House of Representatives, goes back to 1968, the year I was born. And I'm old. So that's 52, 53 years. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office since the early 80s have been in single party control. So irrespective of what the party is that's in control, when you have no challenge and you have absolute power, what do we know about absolute power, right? Absolute power
mhm.
corrupts. And so we see that. And we see that in the current spat of where they're actually, we're talking about felony disenfranchisement, but look at the spate of laws that have come out this legislative season that there's over 100 bills that are trying to disenfranchise voters in our state. And you saw it in Georgia as well. So these are deeply concerning. And so we are, as felons, we were the canary in the coal mine as to what the government, or what unaccountable elected officials will do to stay in power. And here we have that. Like I said, we were the canary in the coal mine, and now it's going ad nauseum across the country.
Yeah. And that's, it's so I mean, I do have hope though, because you do see changes happening. Here in Tucson, we've had some wins that that are good for
Mm,
criminal justice reform, and
absolutely.
prosecutors that are with a different mindset than prosecutors that have been in the past, and all kinds of different wins that we've had down here. But you know what what do you see? I mean, do you see hope for Arizona?
Absolutely, I do. Always, every day. Um, and what I do see is I see a tide turning, and I saw a reception when I came out of prison that warmed my heart and inspired me to do more. Um, the fact that I was allowed to go in with and with you, right, and with Joe Watson and all the people, the program that was spearheaded by Dr. Grace Gomez down at AFSC and put into practice by the great people down there, with Becca Felk and Caroline Isaacs and Joe Watson and
Jason
all the people.
Martinez. I gotta throw
Jason
Jason out
Martinez,
there.
the whole team down there
Yeah.
on that Reframing Justice project. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the voice to the voiceless, right? We're talking about the value that we all have, with regardless of what your past was, is we all have value, and that's the recognition of that program, the Reframing Justice. So the ability to come out and invest myself and be part of that amazing team and go down there to the Capitol year after year and actually go in and talk to lawmakers. I mean, I never thought in my life, sitting on my bunk, even as much legal work as I had done and as much politics as I had looked at and engaged in. I mean, I was the guy every Friday that had my TV on public access and was watching the Horizon show on 5:30, and just hoping to hear something about prison reform and sentencing laws, and listening to Jeremy Duda and Howie Roberts and all them. And I mean, for years, I was that guy, and so, and just immersing myself in all of that, of the state politics and the history and all that kind of stuff, to come out and to be able, within months of my release, say, hey, you have value, you have a voice. Let's go down and talk to these lawmakers and let's let them hear what you have to say. That was so amazing to me. And so that was the beginning of the reception. And then you saw that with the Smart Justice team that's working out of the ACLU. And then you start getting more invested in the stuff and more into it. And you start finding that, yeah, this is actually very widespread. And people like FAM organizations like FAM and all these other organizations, Right on Crime, all these people want to talk to you and they want to help and they're trying to make change. And they believe that we are an integral part of that change. And so what an amazing opportunity. And so, we availed ourselves of that opportunity to go down there and to talk to these lawmakers and say, yes, we need change here. And we continue that march now. And so now it's gotten to the point where, a group of us that either were incarcerated or formerly incarcerated now have created our own nonprofit organization and are getting recognized for the work we're doing on prison oversight. And we're in the conversations, we're in the room, we're working on the legislation. How mind-blowing is that? I mean, how mind-blowing is it that a year out of prison, I was literally writing legislation that was proposed in our House of Representatives. This is just, it's still, to this moment, it blows me away that it's just that close, and it's about that engagement, it's about that activity, it's about leaning in, being able to volunteer for the Gonna Go campaign. May I please do this? Please? Please goes the other way. Please come do this. Thank you. You know what I mean? It's just, what an amazing opportunity to be civically engaged. But moreover, what you're doing with Updraft and what you're doing with this program and what we're all doing, what all these organizations are doing, which is to reach out to us and bring in more of us. And if you look now, we're going on, both of us going on 3 years out. And then there's, a crew that was out a little bit before us that was on the ground floor. And then you're starting to see the new releases come out. And boy, what a team is coming out now. The Alexandrias and Leah's, Farringtons. And I mean, they're just
killing it.
And just, Leah was on your program last time and just coming out and killing it. And how inspiring is that? And they're engaged. And we just need that to continue because, like I said, we have to be responsible. We have to be accountable for that change. And that's what we need to do. So we need to mentor and continue to bring it. And shout out to Khalil over at ACLU Smart Justice and Annalise and Kara. they are killing it over there too, and bringing everybody in, and everybody is in this to win this and in this for the long haul, and they're giving everything they got, despite the fact that they can't go pull that lever. Irrespective of that, they're going and giving everything they got to get these changes made, and that's beautiful, and it's an amazing thing.
I love it. I love it. That's like, you know, just hearing you speak about this too, because I'm going to be honest with you, like sometimes I start losing hope. You know, like I don't really follow any of the election stuff going on because I just don't, you know, I'm just like, you know, and I'm all for, you know, fighting for that change. But what sort of advice would you give me when that just seems so overwhelming and it's just like everything is you know, we're fighting an uphill battle. So, I mean, give me some advice, John. Like, how do I stay
Sure.
motivated?
How do you stay in the game?
Yeah, how do I stay in the game? Put me in, John. Put me in.
Absolutely, coach. Listen, of course we're going to have losses, but you can't just look at the loss. You can't look at a loss as a binary thing, right? Look at like what I was talking about with the county attorney's race. Like that's a great example. Diego Rodriguez came in and pushed the needle, and got progress made. And then Julie Gonigal came in behind him and pushed the needle even further and got it to where it's been no man's land. Like you remember no man's land in prison, you couldn't pass this fence and it was nothing until far away and all that stuff, right? It's been no man's land forever, um, for that race. It's just been a lock, right? We're right on the cusp, right on the edge of getting a victory. We're right on the edge of turning that over and making real change in this county, and in this state. And so when you look at these losses, what I derive from them is I don't just look at the binary WL, right? I look at how did they get there? How did we get there? What progress was made? And was it incremental? Was it substantial? Was it all that? And you derive the lessons from it. And we don't, as human beings, learn about doing things right. I mean, anybody can, broke clocks right twice a day, right? So you can fall butt backwards into doing something right. But when you make mistakes, those are learning opportunities. When you don't win, those are learning opportunities. And I'm a guy who loves to learn. So I want to continuously learn from what worked and what didn't work, and then put in the solution the next time around. And so that's how I stay in it. And moreover, I can tell you from this legislative session and some of the things that I'm hearing back, um, you start to see more and more really kind of erratic behavior from those people that are trying to keep status quo and who profit from status quo and want to keep us disenfranchised. And they are becoming more and more unstable and more erratic because they're becoming more and more fearful that change is going to happen, which is a bellwether sign that change is coming. So
Coming for you.
when we lose, we got to double down. We can't give up. That's when we go to work the hardest, and that's what it's all about.
I love it. I love it. Man, you're just like a great motivational speaker. I got like chills and I was like ready. I'm like, okay, let's go do this. You know? No, like that's great. Now, what sort of advice would you offer anyone who's listening to this that wants to start making some change in their communities? You know, what advice can you offer them?
So yeah, absolutely. Reach out to the organizations. If you're coming out of incarceration, you're coming out of prison, or you have a felony and you went to county jail, or if you're just disenfranchised in any other way and you want to see change happen, maybe you're not disenfranchised at all. You just want to see change happen. I mean, look at the youngsters in that are coming up, right? Like we used to say in prison, look at this group of youngsters, right? They're coming up. They want social change. Social change is going to happen. And so get involved. Find somebody, find a friend, and find out where they're engaged at. Contact these organizations. There are a wealth of nonprofits out there that will get you involved and need volunteers. and need people feet on the ground. There are political campaigns. Listen, all through the time, every candidate that I saw out there was actively looking for volunteers, and those are ground floor opportunities. You volunteer today, and then who knows what's going to happen to you the next time around or the next time after that. So they're ground level opportunities, and there are more places where you get to exercise your voice. So reach out. They're here. They're everywhere. Reach out to FSC Arizona. Reach out if you want to do things in this criminal justice sector. Absolutely reach out to the American Friends Service Committee of Arizona in Tucson. Reach out to the American Civil Liberties Union Arizona, ACLU Smart Justice Campaign. Reach out to my organization. Mine is Arizonans for Transparency and Accountability and Corrections, or ATAC. You can find us at aztraco.com, or just Google ATAC or Arizona's for Transparency and Accountability. You can find them there. I'm sure we'll link them up in the Facebook stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
We can link all these programs up. FAM Foundation, the Start Team, excuse me. All of these, if they aren't actively looking for people, they know somebody who is, because it is a group of people that are all looking forward to or looking to make change and in bringing people in to move the needle forward.
So get hooked up with an organization, find some people who are already involved, reach out to us, because I mean, really, that's what this is all about. Is this is about, building a community for us, to where we can support each other, we can help each other build great lives, and find meaning and purpose and all of those things that maybe we lost while we were in prison. And so before, we're getting close to wrapping up, but the one question that really interests me, and I'd love to know, because I mean, you're just so passionate, and like your drive and your passion like gives me hope. And I just want to know, like, how has this, being civically engaged and doing this sort of work, brought purpose to your life? How has it transformed your life from what it was to where it is now?
Yeah, I can't even envision my life without doing this work anymore. And I think that speaks volumes for what it is. I have the great pleasure to talk to people every day. Um, Everybody from my team at ATAC, who are just the most committed and wonderful people that are on the face of the earth, to Julie Gunnigal, to lawmakers Will Knight, and other people in the political, like Will Knight, and attorneys, and Representative Rodriguez, Representative Blackman. I mean, I get to talk to these people, and these people, regardless of where they're at and what they're trying to move forward, they're all genuinely good people, and they're all trying to do good things. And really, quite frankly, that's what most of us that were incarcerated are doing too. And that's probably something that doesn't land with a lot of people or understand. They think that somebody that committed a crime, is just always going to be some sort of malfeasant or something like that. And it's just simply not true. And we would see it in prison, right? We would see it. I remember, God, I remember a number of occasions where something tragic would happen out in the community, and the guys immediately got together. These are guys making 30 cents an hour and having to pay $3 for a bar of soap and this type of thing, right? And I would see them get together and go ask the prison officials, hey, can we do something to donate money to this family because their child died? Or, I remember when I was at Florence Complex, there was a family, and they were in an airplane, and they flew right into the mountain. Unfortunately, it was a really horrible accident, and the father and two children died. And it was immediate tears in the eyes of guys on the yard wanting to give to this poor family that had been so decimated by this. And you see that time and time and time again. Our fundraisers were always, or generally, tied to some sort of fundraising. So we have this whole swath of just really good people, really amazing people trying to do good things. And being in that environment has enriched me beyond measure. It has kept me honest. It has kept me moving forward in my life. It has kept me engaged. It has kept me sober and thinking about how we can make real change happen. And I wouldn't give it up for the world, not for the world.
That was beautiful. That was, I mean, and everything you just said right there about how, guys inside, they're good people, and
Right.
it's so crazy because until you've lived that experience or you've actually like seen their soul or you've just really just lived together, you don't understand that, there's this perception. It's just like prisons full of all these scary people. And it's like not the case where, everyone is being defined by the worst decision they made, or they're being defined and told that they're no good because they made a mistake. And even the people that were in a bad head place, right? And really, did something that wasn't great. Um, you you see that like change is possible in everyone, and I know that if I could change from the thought processes and the feelings that were driving me when I was not not doing right. If I can change and this can be my life, then I know it's possible for anybody. And
Yeah, it's absolutely true. That's absolutely true, Dave. And you're an inspiration to me, and you're an inspiration to so many people with what you're doing with Handcuffed to Freedom and Updraft Productions, and just amazing work. And that, look at our friend Joe Watson. Our friend Joe Watson is the comms director for the Pima County Attorney's Office. You talk about breaking a ceiling. I mean, what an amazing guy. And all you guys are. And shout out to the women coming out of Perryville too, that are in Perryville. And then I want everybody to just take a moment and think about how we're treating them. Just take a minute and think about how we're treating them. And they're good people, and they deserve better. Every human being deserves better. And we need to make the Department of Corrections run better, and we need it to make it function better. And that's what our mission is at ATAC. And so that people like yourself and all the people that we've mentioned today have a chance to come out and achieve their maximum and achieve what you have achieved and achieve what I have achieved, which is, it's blood and knuckles and skin and bone, working your butt off to get it done, but having the opportunity to do that. We need to level that playing field and get that opportunity going. But yeah, you're absolutely right, my friend.
absolutely. So how can people find ATAC, and if, say they want to donate, because I can imagine that that would very much help this fight that you got going. How can they do that?
Absolutely. Thank you. So yeah, you can find ATAC at atracco.com. And you can donate on our website. You can donate to us on Facebook, on PayPal. We are part of the Arizona Gives uh, this year, which is a several week long event that culminates on, ooh, my team's going to be mad at me. I think it's April 6th. Uh, but you can see it on our page. We are on a Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We're on Twitter. We're everywhere on the social media platforms because I learned my lessons from one Mr. Nate McCallum on how to do that.
I'm still learning.
And and uh, and yeah, and you can donate to us. And donations are for real. Like the work that we're doing. Let me just give you one quick example before we go. We're going to go out after this legislative session. Sine die is it's Latin term for the last day of the session, right? So sine die is going to happen sometime in May. Sometime after May, my team, which is only 4 of us here in the state of Arizona, one of our members is out in Indiana, but our team is going to go and we're going to be driving to every legislative district in the state. There's 30 legislative districts in the state, and we are going to be booking halls in each one of these counties to hold events for lawmakers to come in and for the public to come in so that we can educate them about what's going on in the Department of Corrections, what the administration is and isn't doing, and the solutions that that we and other organizations have put in place and through legislation, and why it's so damn important, not only to those that are incarcerated, but to the staff members, the 10,000, 15,000 staff members that have to walk in and out of the facilities every day, and to the Arizona taxpayer, because we're paying $1.3 billion a year to fund a failing agency. It's the third largest agency in our state, and it's failing miserably on every metric. And so we have to go educate the public. And that means generally that we're going to have to do 60 events, because we're going to be having Democratic events and Republican events in all 30 of these legislative districts. That takes a lot of money, and we have to do reach out and do a whole bunch of other education stuff. And these things, they're expensive. So we're just, we're a grassroots organization, and so donations are everything to us. And so every 100% of all donations go directly into the work that we do, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit, so we are tax exempt. So please, if you have a couple bucks in your pocket, whether it's 2, 5, 7, 10, or more, that's fine. We love it, we need it, and we want to put it to work for our state.
All right. Well, I love it, John. I really appreciate everything that you, I mean, just your your spirit, your motivation, and Siri, man. Siri always, anytime I say anything, I say spirit, Siri pops up. She's listening every time. And now she's just, dictating what I'm saying. Okay, anyway, sorry. But your spirit and your motivation and just your passion, it inspires me, and it just it really gets the fire going again to really get involved in more legislative stuff and really start pushing for that, because I mean, that's change comes from the people in power, and being able to to add our voice to the conversation, add our experience, and knowing that our experience and our voice is valuable, and being able to like own that, and to move into these spaces as more than just someone who's formerly incarcerated, but as a leader of these conversations, as someone who is going to drive these conversations and is going to make this change happen. And that's one of the things that, like, if someone's listening to this formerly incarcerated, or you got a family member coming out, I mean, if we can take anything away from this, is that you have power, that you can live into that power, and you have value, and your voice matters. And we want you to be a part of our team, our crew, this is Handcuffed to Freedom. But if you're with ATAG or what, we're all in this together, and we need you. So I'm gonna leave with that. I'm also gonna do my little marketing spiel too here. So if you'd like to contact us, you can go Handcuffed to Freedom. That's handcuffed with the number 2 freedom @gmail.com. You can't, hold on, there's all kinds of things that I gotta remember. Hold on. Instagram. Sure. I never do Instagram. See, Siri popped up again. Siri. Anyway, Instagram is @cuffed2 number 2 freedom. We have Facebook. Search Handcuffed to Freedom. What do we got? YouTube, right? This is streaming on as well. You can just search Handcuffed to Freedom. You'll find us there. And we also have a Patreon account. So if you'd like to support the work that we're doing, we have actually 3 patrons now, which is really cool. And we are using that to create transcripts of these episodes, so that people can send these into their loved ones. And another great thing that is going on is people like Manny Mejias, they're working on a podcast that will actually go in and people inside can listen to. And yeah, so I mean, there's all kinds of things going, and Manny's been on the show, and he's formerly incarcerated, and he's out here making changes, making moves, doing the Invest program. it's just amazing to see all this happening. And like I said, John, I really appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you spitting some wisdom, and we'll always be in contact. And yeah, man, any last words?
No, thank you, Nate. And absolutely everybody, go back and look at all the Handcuffed to Freedom podcasts and podcasts, man. They're amazing. And every person that Nate, I'm so honored to be part of that, to part of this lineage of people that you've had on, Nate. Thank you so much for letting me come on because it puts me in some excellent company. Boy, your guests and your shows have been amazing. I've watched them all. And I encourage everybody to go out and watch all of the episodes of Handcuffed to Freedom that are available because they're amazing. They're amazing.
And if you maybe want to be on an episode, shoot me an email. We can talk about it. I'd love to hear your story, and would love to have people come and be a part of this. So all right, John. Well, I think that'll wrap it up for us. And yeah, I'll see you around.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Bye. All right. I think we're good. So hold on.
Cool?
Maybe. If we're not, people are just watching us as we do this.
It won't be like Anchorman where he's calling her a smelly
Yeah, I think we're good. But okay, I'll hit you up right now on Messenger.
Okay. All right, bro. Thank you
okay.
so much, man.
All right. Yeah, no problem. All right, later.